Hey there, all you future commissioning engineers out there, getting ready for that big interview.
Yeah, it's a pretty high-stakes job.
Right.
You're the one that's got to make sure those million-dollar systems actually work.
Yeah.
No pressure or anything.
Uh-huh. Right. Well, today we're going to take all that pressure and, turn it into preparation.
That's all right.
Because we're diving deep
Hey,
into how to, totally nail
nail it.
that commissioning engineer interview.
When we talk about commissioning people, a lot of times they focus on just the technical side.
Mm-hmm.
But what really sets a candidate apart is showcasing that you get the whole process
Yeah.
from meticulously following the plan to making sure the handover goes smoothly.
Okay.
That moment when you officially hand the project over to the client.
Gotcha. Handover. That makes sense.
Yes.
I could see how that final step would be super important.
Yeah.
So how do we actually demonstrate that deep understanding to an interviewer? I know we've got some excerpts from a recent Indeed.com article.
Yes, we do.
Interview questions and answers for a commissioning engineer.
That's the one.
Seems like a good place to start.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That article has some solid advice.
Okay.
For example, they talk about a question that comes up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
How do you ensure all work complies with the commissioning plan and sequence?
Oh, good one.
They even give you a sample answer.
Oh, nice.
But with any template, it needs some, personalization.
Right. You don't want to sound like a robot
Exactly.
just reading off a script.
You got to make it your own.
So how do we do that? How do we make it our own?
You got to think back to your projects.
Okay.
Was there ever a time when sticking to the plan really helped you avoid a major headache?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you caught a potential issue early on,
Uh-huh.
or maybe all that attention to detail actually saved the project from having to do costly rework later on.
Yeah.
That's the kind of story that's going to resonate with an interviewer.
Makes sense. I actually struggled with organization early in my career. Spreadsheets, to-do lists, you name it. I tried it.
Wow.
What really helped me was finding a project management software that actually worked for me.
Interesting.
What are some of your go-to methods for staying organized, especially when you're juggling multiple projects?
Oh, I've definitely had my share of organizational nightmares.
I bet.
For me, it's all about finding a system that lets you break those complex projects down
Okay.
into manageable tasks.
Uh-huh.
It's like commissioning a building.
Yeah.
You wouldn't try to tackle everything all at once, right?
Right.
You break it down system by system.
Okay.
Same thing with managing your workload
So breaking things down.
into smaller steps.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, the Indeed article also mentions the STAR method,
Yes.
situation, task, action, result,
Right.
as a way to structure your answers.
Yeah.
But how do we tailor that to commissioning engineer examples?
Good question.
Yeah.
So in this field, the situation might be a complex system you had to commission. Maybe like a brand new HVAC system in a high-rise building.
Wow, yeah.
The task could be making sure that system meets all the performance specs and regulations.
Uh-huh.
Your action would be the specific steps you took,
Okay.
conducting tests, troubleshooting issues, and collaborating with the different teams.
Right.
And then the result is that moment
Yeah.
when the system passes all the inspections and runs perfectly.
That glorious moment.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how this all comes together.
Good.
Painting a picture of that glorious moment when everything works perfectly.
Yes.
That's got to impress an interviewer.
Absolutely. But it's not just about highlighting successes.
Oh, okay.
Interviewers want to see how you handle the tough stuff, too.
The challenges.
Challenges, exactly.
Speaking of challenges, one thing that always makes me nervous is that question about working under pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone feels the heat sometimes, right?
Oh, we've all been there.
Yeah.
I remember this one project,
Oh.
this massive data center, and we had a crazy tight deadline.
Yikes.
We were down to the wire, and the cooling system kept throwing errors.
Oh, no.
Talk about pressure.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
What did you do?
We had to think on our feet, adapt to the situation, and stay calm.
Oh, wow.
The Indeed article really emphasizes those qualities.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
Makes sense.
They even give an example about handling system failures,
Oh, really?
which seems pretty relevant to your data center story.
Totally. Did you ever just want to throw your hands up and walk away?
Honestly, there were moments.
I bet.
But teamwork and a little creative problem solving, that's what saved the day.
Right.
We ended up finding a faulty sensor that was messing up the whole system.
Wow.
Small fix.
Yeah.
Huge impact.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of how a super challenging situation can become like a shining moment in an interview.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's all about how you frame it.
Okay.
Instead of saying, oh, I'm good under pressure, you're saying, Remember that time I saved a data center from meltdown?
Haha.
Here's how I did it.
Okay. That is much better.
Right.
I like that story a lot better.
You go.
So we're using the STAR method.
Yes.
We turn those high-pressure moments into evidence of our skills.
Exactly.
I'm loving this.
Good.
What else does the Indeed article suggest we showcase?
Well, there's a question that I find really interesting.
Okay.
Share an example of when you went above and beyond to solve a problem.
Ooh.
So this isn't just about doing your job.
Mm-hmm.
It's about showing initiative and passion for making things better.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for showcasing those problem-solving skills
Exactly.
that are so crucial in this field.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The example they give in the article talks about developing a preventative maintenance routine
Okay.
to try and reduce system failures.
Interesting.
It's a great example of how you can take initiative
Yeah.
and go beyond just the immediate task at hand
Uh-huh.
to create long-term solutions.
I'm thinking back to my own experience now.
Yeah.
Was there a time when I went above and beyond?
Hmm.
I'm sure there is something.
I bet you can think of something.
Yeah.
Think about those times when you didn't just solve the problem, but you took that extra step
Okay.
to make sure it never happened again.
Right.
Maybe you streamlined a process, or you spotted a safety hazard,
Mm-hmm.
or even came up with a totally creative solution
Yeah.
that saved time and resources.
You know what? Now that you mention it,
Yeah.
I do remember this one time.
Uh-huh.
I was doing a routine inspection,
Okay.
and I spotted a potential issue.
Oh, really?
It wasn't a big deal at the time,
Okay.
but I had a hunch it could turn into something bigger.
Interesting. What happened?
Well, I did some more digging,
Mhm.
did some research,
Yeah.
and presented my findings to the team.
Okay.
We were able to fix the issue before it became a major problem.
Good for you.
Saved a lot of downtime and money.
That's great.
It wasn't glamorous or anything,
Sure.
but it felt good knowing I'd prevented something bad from happening.
It's a fantastic example.
Yeah,
It shows foresight, initiative, and a commitment to quality.
nice.
Remember, those little things can say a lot about you.
Yeah.
Your work ethic and your problem-solving skills.
It's funny how those less dramatic moments
Right.
can actually be the most telling.
Exactly.
So we've talked about problem-solving skills.
Yes.
But the Indeed article also talks about communication,
Yes.
especially when explaining complex things to people who aren't engineers.
Right.
That's got to be a challenge in this field.
All the time.
Yeah.
You're always bridging the gap between the technical world and the people who use those systems.
I can imagine.
Yeah, think back to a time when you had to explain a technical issue to someone,
Okay.
maybe a client or a team member who wasn't an engineer.
Uh-huh.
Did you use analogies,
Oh, yeah.
visuals,
Yeah.
step-by-step explanations?
That reminds me of this one client meeting. They were having trouble understanding why a certain system needed regular maintenance. I compared it to a car.
Okay.
You wouldn't drive a car for years without an oil change, right?
Perfect analogy.
Thanks. Did it work?
I'm sure it did.
It totally did.
Good.
They got it.
Nice.
They understood that maintenance is an investment,
Right.
not just an extra cost.
Exactly.
That's a great example of how communication can solve problems but also build trust.
Yes, very important.
It's almost like being a translator between two different worlds.
I like that.
Speaking of different worlds,
Yes?
the Indeed article also mentions staying up to date with industry trends,
Oh, absolutely.
new technologies.
Yeah. That's a constant race in engineering.
I feel that.
Always something new to learn.
Right.
It's a fast-paced field,
Yeah.
but that's also what makes it exciting.
I agree.
Always a new challenge, new innovations.
For sure.
I find that staying involved with professional organizations
Okay.
and going to industry conferences really helps me stay on top of things.
Those events are good for networking, too.
Oh, for sure.
Meeting people, exchanging ideas.
You can't beat that.
Have you made any good connections at those events?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Met some amazing people,
Wow.
learned so much from them.
That's great.
It's a fantastic way to stay informed about emerging trends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for example, at a recent conference,
Ah.
I saw this fascinating presentation on AI in building automation.
Whoa.
It's incredible how technology is shaping the future of commissioning.
AI in building automation.
Yeah,
That's wild.
it is.
So those conferences are more than just lectures.
They are?
They're a chance to see the big picture,
Yes.
where the industry is heading.
Absolutely. And that kind of thinking is so important for interviews. It's not just what you've done,
Uh-huh.
but how you're preparing for the future of commissioning.
So showing that you're adaptable
Yes.
and eager to learn.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears for a second. We've talked about technical skills and staying current. But there's another aspect that comes up in interviews,
Okay.
teamwork,
Oh, yeah.
and specifically handling disagreements,
Oh,
conflicts on a team.
yeah, that's a tricky one.
It is.
Nobody likes conflict,
Right.
but it happens.
Especially in a high-pressure environment.
Like commissioning.
Exactly.
The Indeed article says it's important to understand different perspectives
Yes.
and make everyone feel heard.
You gotta find that balance between asserting your expertise and respecting other people's opinions.
Yeah,
Active listening is key.
I could see that.
When conflict comes up,
Yeah.
take the time to really understand the other person.
That sounds like good advice for life in general.
Ha ha ha, it is.
Have you ever had to use those active listening skills
Yeah.
in a really tense situation?
Oh, I remember this one project.
Oh.
We were having a major disagreement
Oh, no.
about the best way to commission an electrical system, and there were strong opinions on both sides.
I bet.
Things were getting pretty tense.
What did you do?
I decided to call a team meeting,
Okay.
specifically to address the conflict.
Good idea.
I created a safe space for everyone to talk
Uh-huh.
and share their perspectives.
Without interruptions.
Yes, and we all listened to each other.
Okay.
We asked questions,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually we found common ground.
That must have taken a lot of patience
I did.
and diplomacy.
Son.
Did you find a solution everyone agreed on?
We did.
Wow.
It wasn't about winning or losing.
Right.
It was about finding the best solution for the project.
Yeah.
And that required us to work together.
That's a great lesson.
It is.
Turning conflict into collaboration.
Absolutely.
It also shows leadership.
Leadership isn't always about giving orders.
True.
It's about facilitating communication
Yeah.
and finding solutions that help everyone.
And sometimes it's about taking a step back
Right.
and listening.
Exactly.
Speaking of taking a step back. Yeah. The Indeed article mentions something that seems basic. Okay. But is super important. What's that? Keeping track of your daily tasks.
Oh, that's a big one.
I know, right?
Especially when you're juggling so many things.
Yes. Multiple projects, deadlines, information overload.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed
Totally.
if you don't have a system.
Yeah, as much as I try to be spontaneous,
Sure.
I've learned that organization is key.
It is.
What are your favorite ways to stay organized?
I'm a big fan of project management software.
Okay.
There are some amazing tools out there.
Oh, yeah?
They let you track deadlines, assign tasks, and collaborate with your team.
It's like mission control for your projects.
Exactly.
I've tried a few of those myself.
Yeah,
They can be lifesavers when you're working with a big team.
they are.
But sometimes I still go back to my old to-do list.
That's okay.
Really?
There's a place for both digital and analog tools.
True.
The key is finding what works for you.
Right.
Some people love spreadsheets. Others prefer visual systems like Kanban boards.
I've heard of those.
It's about experimenting
Okay.
and finding what helps you stay focused.
So true. It's all about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Where you feel in control,
Right.
not drowning in a sea of tasks.
Exactly. And it's not just about managing individual tasks. It's
No.
about seeing the big picture.
Yeah.
That's why you need to regularly review your priorities,
Okay.
assess your progress,
Uh-huh.
and make adjustments as needed.
It's like the commissioning process for your workload.
Exactly.
I love that.
Good.
So we've talked about organization, communication, problem solving,
Yes.
even a bit of leadership.
It's like we're building the perfect candidate.
Right.
We're getting there.
Okay, what's next?
Well, there's one more crucial aspect we need to address.
Oh, what's that?
Safety.
Ah, yes. Safety first.
Always.
Safety is so important in any engineering field,
Absolutely.
but especially in commissioning.
You're working with complex systems,
Yeah.
often in hazardous environments.
Right. So how do you show that commitment to safety in an interview?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
The Indeed article doesn't have specific safety questions,
Okay.
but it emphasizes following best practices,
Uh-huh.
doing regular checks, and keeping good documentation.
That's all part of a strong safety culture.
Yes, it is.
So how can we connect these things to our own experiences
Okay.
and show off our safety mindset?
Let's brainstorm.
Okay.
What are some interview questions they might ask?
Okay.
For example, they might say, what safety measures do you consider in your work?
That's a classic.
How would you answer that?
Well, I'd start by saying that I'm proactive about safety.
Good.
I always do a thorough risk assessment
Yes.
before starting any task.
Very important.
And I'd mention that I'm familiar with all the safety regulations and standards.
Perfect.
You could also share examples of specific safety protocols,
Good idea.
like lockout procedures or using PPE.
Those are great examples.
And it's important to talk about communication and teamwork.
Yeah.
When it comes to safety,
For sure.
You could say that you always encourage open dialogue about potential hazards,
Right.
and that you're always willing to speak up if you see something unsafe,
That's a good one.
and that you value your team's input.
Yes, it shows that you're not just following rules,
Right.
but that you really care about safety.
Like everyone.
For everyone.
Exactly. Another question they might ask is,
Yeah.
can you describe a time when you identified a safety hazard and took steps to fix it?
That's a perfect opportunity to highlight your problem-solving skills
Yes.
and your proactive approach.
Think back to a time when you noticed something that could have been dangerous.
Maybe you saw a faulty piece of equipment
Yeah.
or an unsafe work practice
Huh?
or a potential environmental hazard.
Okay.
Explain how you assessed the risk, fixed the problem, and told the right people.
That shows you actually apply safety protocols in real life.
It does.
Okay, let's wrap up the safety talk.
Good idea.
Remember, safety is not just a box to check off.
Right.
It's part of everything we do.
Absolutely.
By showing your commitment to safety in the interview,
Uh-huh.
you'll not only impress them,
Yeah,
but you'll also set yourself up for a successful career
I agree.
in this amazing field.
It is a great field.
Now take a deep breath,
Okay.
and let's move on to the final part of our deep dive,
Sounds good.
where we'll explore some more tips and strategies
Right.
to help you ace that interview. All right, so we've covered so much,
Yeah, we have.
from showing off your technical skills
Uh-huh.
to talking about safety.
Very important.
Now let's talk about that final push,
Okay.
those last few things that really seal the deal.
It's like that final inspection.
Right.
Before you hand over a project.
Yeah, you've done the hard work.
Uh-huh.
Now it's about presentation,
Right, those finishing touches.
making everything shine.
Exactly.
So what should we keep in mind as we walk into that interview room?
Well, confidence is key.
Oh, yeah.
You've made it this far for a reason.
True.
They see something in you.
Mhm.
Remember that.
Easier said than done
I know.
when those pre-interview jitters hit.
Right.
Any advice on how to project confidence,
Of course.
even when you're feeling nervous?
Dress professionally.
Okay.
It shows you care about the details.
Uh-huh.
Stand tall, make eye contact. Offer a firm handshake.
Right.
Those nonverbals say a lot.
They do.
And don't forget to smile.
Oh, yeah.
A genuine smile can put everyone at ease.
Including yourself.
Exactly.
It's funny how the little things can make such a difference.
They really can.
Now, we talked about using the STAR method
Yes.
to answer questions.
Uh-huh.
Any other tips for making those answers really stand out?
Well, first, listen carefully to the question.
Okay.
Make sure you understand what they're asking
Yeah.
before you start talking.
Right.
You can even repeat the question back to them,
That's a good idea.
just to be sure you're on the same page.
I know I've been guilty of rushing to answer before I fully understand the question.
We've all done it.
Yeah.
And once you have your answer, speak clearly and concisely.
Okay.
Don't ramble or go off on tangents.
Keep it focused.
It's okay to pause.
Yeah.
Take a moment to gather your thoughts.
Taking a moment to breathe can make all the difference.
It really can.
Okay, so we've aced their questions.
Right.
What about the questions we ask them?
Good point.
Anything specific to this field?
Asking thoughtful questions shows you're interested. You could ask about their sustainability practices,
Okay.
the types of systems you'd be working on, or even the team dynamics.
The company culture?
It's like you're interviewing them.
Right, getting a feel for the place.
Exactly. It's a two-way street.
Now let's talk about something that can be a little awkward.
What's that?
Salary expectations.
Yeah.
Any advice on handling those questions?
Do your research.
Okay.
Websites like Glassdoor and Indeed can help.
Right.
They can give you an idea of salary ranges.
So I have some data to back it up.
Yeah. Exactly. Then you can give them a range.
Go.
Based on your experience.
That makes sense.
Be prepared to explain your expectations
Okay.
if they ask for more details.
Be confident.
Yes, confidence in your worth
Mm-hmm.
is just as important as confidence in your skills.
It's not just about getting the job.
Yeah.
It's about getting the right job.
One that values what you bring to the table.
Exactly.
Remember, the interview is a chance for you to learn about them too.
It is.
Be authentic,
Sure.
be confident, and be prepared.
And don't forget to breathe.
Yes.
Try to enjoy the experience.
Well said. I'm confident that with all these tips,
yeah.
you'll be well on your way to acing that interview.
And landing your dream job.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into how to prepare for a commissioning engineer interview.
It was my pleasure.
Remember, we're here to support you
Oh,
every step of the way.
that's right.
So keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
See you next time.